Okay, thanks everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful time here at the studio. The official title for this session is Winning Business and Customer Engagement in a Noisy Industry. And you, I and Rachel caught up a couple of days ago, and certainly Rachel was debating the fact that is it a noisy industry? What's your thoughts on that particular angle?
So, and this may be the theme for what I'll say, I think it's been a noisy industry as long as I can remember. It's just getting a little bit noisier because we're also letting it be a little bit noisier. Sometimes you need to slow down to speed up. So if everybody tells you everything is noisy, there's some truth to that. But that's also because we have kind of the sea of sameness, which means everybody's putting out very similar things that are not that differentiated. I've been a CMO for 10 years for various companies. I can't get away from these three-letter big blue things, IBM, HCL, now NTT. And some of the very principles of marketing, I think, are the most important thing. And we're confusing two things. One, that the technology is the strategic enabler. You can be a great marketeer without any technology, but you'll never be the best leading marketeer without deploying technology. I've worked for 6 different CEOs now. And while they're all very similar, they're also all very different, and their expectations of marketing is different. And I can tell you, if a CEO wants you to build a demand generation engine, then you better build a demand generation engine. If your CEO believes that ABM is the path to glory, then build an ABM glory. If the CEO actually thinks that digital marketing truly holds true, which I do, I think the entire front end of the sales process is actually being disintermediated. If you're telling them that cloud strategy is important, they're going to go to a search engine, they go to Google, they type in cloud. If you're in the top 5, if you know anything about your SEM strategy, you should be in the top 5. They click on that, where do they end up? They end up on your website. So now, what you do on your website, whose responsibility is that? Sales? HR? Finance? Whose responsibility is that when they type in cloud that you're in the top 5? And then the content that's on that website, whose responsibility is that?
What do you think marketing's value is to the business from that CEO vantage point?
There's probably not many jobs that are more stressful than being the CEO of a $10 billion company, a $5 billion company. Those jobs are the pressure cooker jobs like you would not believe. And the question that those CEOs are basically asked to answer, I think we heard that, most often is some form of profitable growth. Not just growth, but profitable. So who gets assigned the profitable growth thing? Kind of the leadership team does, but then does marketing have a role to play? We have a huge role to play. Does the entire C-suite necessarily understand all the stuff that we do? Of course not. But this is where a little bit the art and the science comes into place, right?
Are you seeing kind of additional pressure given some of the economic constraints and the market the way it is? There's additional pressure being put on your shoulders and your team to deliver that growth?
So unless you're in a business that seems to just be running, I can guarantee you that most companies, that it flows downwards. If the company is under pressure to perform, marketing is under pressure to demonstrate value. It's about as simple as that. If you're a publicly traded company and you have articulated to the street that this is your growth targets and here's your profitability targets, and you are at risk of not making that, your marketing department will be under pressure. You will be asked to do less with more every single time. And it becomes even more important then to literally do that. The challenge of prioritization, I always remind the teams I work with, and I do it with a smile. I said, look, the challenge of prioritization is not figuring out what to do. It's figuring out what you're not going to do. But you better make sure that you have some form of ability to not only articulate, but also demonstrate the value that you're delivering, right? So outcomes over activity anytime, and less is more.
obviously buyers are changing in terms of new generations coming through. You mentioned CIOs and CTOs of tomorrow, they're going to be different, younger generations coming through. How does the marketing mix need to kind of adapt to that?
So this is interesting. I agree with that. Of course, they're different buyers. The one thing that has held constant, and if anything, in my view, has continued is, and I forgot who published it, it may have been Gartner, but this is at least 5 years ago, when they asserted that the average touch points of a prospect to buyer would be 15 to 20 times with your company over a certain sales cycle, and that it's not linear. So this thing is a nice way of maybe doing math, but that's not a buyer's journey. The buyer's journey is like this, and then you go over here, and then you come back, and then you go over here. And the part though, and this is where it's important, I think, for marketing, and there are certain tools that actually help you track that. I would submit to you that probably 2/3 or more of those 15 to 20 touches fall back to marketing type of activities that we should be running.
What does successful marketing look like 2024?
Hopefully measured in the success of your company, not in the success of marketing itself. Am I proud if we do good work? Yes. But if we don't meet our commitments as a company and marketing hasn't contributed to that, it is somewhat meaningless actually. And the higher, and for those of you who have also had these roles, you kind of need to adapt a little bit the mindset of an enterprise leader in order to do that. The worst day in the life of a marketeer is when marketing celebrates that they've met all their targets and sales doesn't get paid. That's a bad day for marketing because it runs downstream and the sellers are not going to be happy and the company's not performing well. Your customers pay the bills, nobody else. Yeah. So long answer to that.
No, that's brilliant. Matt, fantastic to chat with you today. And up next, we'll have networking in the prioritization session. I hope a few of you get a chance to speak to Matt afterwards. But for now, please, everyone, put your hands together for Matt Preschern.
Thank you very much.